In the thriving village of Kaikiwa, nestled between the majestic river Oder and lush cocoa plantations, King Arinza Mensa reigns with unparalleled wisdom. His astute leadership and compassionate heart have earned him the admiration of his people, but a looming succession crisis threatens to test his sagacity. King Arinza was worried, for he had tried everything possible to make his wives pregnant with a male child, but each time they got pregnant, it was always a girl. It was a tradition in the village for centuries that a king without a direct heir to take after him after his death would have his lineage broken, thereby allowing his brother or children to rule after him. So Arinza was worried, and he decided to summon the chief priest again. When the chief priest arrived, Arinza asked him, "I am worried, wise one." The chief priest replied, "I know what troubles you, my king. But I have good news for you," the chief priest continued. "The gods have heard your prayers, you will have a male child soon." The king's worried expression slowly turned into a hopeful one. "Really, wise one? The gods have finally heard my prayers." The chief priest nodded, his eyes gleaming with a knowing spark. "Yes, my king. But there is a condition. You must perform a ritual under the light of the next full moon, and your wife must drink a special concoction made from the rare mokofuya flower." Arinza's face lit up with excitement. "I'll do anything. Where can I find this flower?" The chief priest handed him a small map with a location marked. "It only blooms once a year, under the light of the full moon. You must send your trusted men to retrieve it." Arinza nodded, determination etched on his face. "I'll send my best men." So, all 4 of Arinza's wives would drink the concoction made from the mokofi flower, increasing the chances of one of them conceiving a male child. Arinza summoned all 4 of his wives, Akua, Oma, Adwoa, and Afua, and explained the chief priest's instructions. They were all to drink the concoction made from the mokofi flower, under the light of the full moon. The night of the full moon, the 4 wives gathered around the chief priest, who handed each of them a small vial filled with the glowing liquid. They drank it simultaneously, under the watchful eyes of Arinza and the chief priest. As they waited for the results, tensions rose in the palace. Which wife would conceive the male child? After each wife had prepared and treated themselves with different incense and followed the directions of their mothers before taking the concoction, waiting patiently, Arinza visited each woman after every 4 nights after taking the concoction. After a few months, each woman started showing signs of pregnancy. It was an excitement for Arinza because his prayers had finally been answered. Even the whole village joined in the celebrations. After 9 months, each woman gave birth to a female child. Arinza was furious because his expectations had not been met. He summoned the native priest again, but he still told him to be patient, saying he would have a male child. King Arinza's frustration grew worse, and he drank every night till stupor, his only way to be happy and forget his worries for a male child. One night, a young maid, Neoma, attended to him. She had been serving the king for only a few moons and was kind and gentle, with a warm smile that could light up the darkest of rooms. As she attended to Arinza's drunken state, she felt a pang of sadness. The king's desperation for a male heir had consumed him, and his nightly drinking had become a concern. One night, as Neoma helped Arinza to his chambers, he looked up at her with bleary eyes and whispered, "You know, Neoma, I think I've been foolish. Maybe the gods don't want me to have a son." Neoma's heart went out to him, and she replied, "Don't say that, Your Majesty. The gods have a plan for you. Maybe it's just not what you expect." Arinza's gaze lingered on Neoma's face, and for a moment, he saw a glimmer of hope. He reached out and gently brushed a strand of hair behind her ear, his touch sending shivers down her spine. Arinza slept with Neoma that night, and by early morning, she left before the king woke up. But even in his drunkenness, he knew he had been with someone, and he felt happier when he woke up. He called his personal guard, Donta, and asked what had happened. Donta told him he had spent the night with Neoma, and it continued every night. As the nights went by, Arinza and Neoma's secret trysts became more frequent. The king would drink less, and his mood would lift whenever Neoma was near. He found himself looking forward to her gentle touch and soothing presence. Donta grew concerned about the king's relationship with the young maid, knowing Arinza's wives would not approve, and the consequences could be severe. Adwoa, the first wife, grew increasingly concerned about Arinza's distant behavior and summoned Donta to her chambers, demanding answers. "What's going on, Donta?" Adwoa asked, her voice firm but laced with worry. "The king's been ignoring us, and I know it's not just because of his desire for a male heir. What's behind this?" Donta shifted uncomfortably, his eyes darting around the room. "I swear, Your Highness, the king just wants to be alone. He's not interested in extracurricular activities." Adwoa's gaze narrowed. "Don't lie to me, Donta. I know the king's habits. He's never been one to decline companionship. There's someone else, isn't there?" Donta's silence spoke volumes, and Adwoa's suspicions grew. Meanwhile, Neoma and Arinza's secret trysts continued, but the weight of their secrecy hung over them like a sword of Damocles, threatening to destroy their happiness at any moment. After 3 full moons, Neoma developed signs of pregnancy, an abomination in the land for a maiden to be pregnant without proper marriage rites. She tried to hide it but couldn't. She confronted Arinza, telling him about her pregnancy, but the king thought she wanted to marry him and tie herself down with the pregnancy. So, he angrily sent her out of his presence. Neoma had no way to run to since she was just a servant. Her village will take 3 market days to reach. Her sign of pregnancy began to show, frequent urinating and vomiting. Her friend Uju took notice and forced her to tell her who owned the pregnancy. Here's a continuation. Uju's eyes widened in shock. "Abomination, Neoma. You're pregnant for the king." Neoma burst into tears, as she had been doing every night since she discovered she was pregnant. "How? What happened? How did it come to this?" Uju asked, her voice laced with concern and confusion. Neoma shook her head. "I don't know, Uju. I didn't expect this. I was just serving the king, and it happened." She sobbed uncontrollably. Uju's expression turned stern. "Have you told the king?" Neoma hesitated, wiping her tears with the back of her hand. "No, I haven't. He doesn't even know I'm pregnant. He just sent me away when I tried to tell him." Uju's face fell. "Neoma, this is serious. You're in grave danger. If the king's wives find out, they'll make sure you're punished severely. We have to think of something, and fast." Neoma's eyes widened in fear. "What can we do, Uju? I have no one to turn to. My village is 3 market days away, and I'm just a servant here." Uju took Neoma's hands in hers. "Don't worry, I'll help you. We'll figure something out. But for now, let's keep this a secret. We can't trust anyone else."